Book 1, Bazur's Plot, Chapter 25. Tomorrow is a new day. I woke up to the first sunbeams in the sky. I could not believe I had slept through the whole night without waking up once. I could see it was another beautiful day. I wonder if here in Myria there is anything other than beautiful days. I stretched and sat up in my hammock by dropping my feet to the ground and balancing myself like that. I saw Tico up already with the other Capritors. Did they ever sleep? I walked quietly to Tico and hugged him. He looked at me and said, I know. I looked puzzled. He continued, do you think that I could not read you like an open book by now? We have lived together on Earth so many years. You're feeling anxious about the vast task you need to do here. I looked at him and I noted, tears in my eyes. I am afraid. I am afraid I will not be able to do it or I will disappoint Myria folks. He looked at me. You already, with Jack, have proven not to be disappointment. Humans are such overthinkers. I laughed out loud. Sounded so tiny. Yes, on Earth, she was my small dog, but everything about her, personality, humor, manners, and everything was the same than this beautiful he-capritor Tico in front of me. It was interesting that I always thought that dog Tico should have been male on Earth, and here in Myria, Tico was a beautiful male capritor. I was wiping my tears from my eyes away and said, thank you, I needed that. Do you want to go for breakfast? I can start make it for everyone. Tico nodded and followed me. I saw last night there was a kind of hole in the ground that was like a fridge with ingredients. I started the fire and prepared food to be grilled. I wondered if Tara had returned, and as soon as I thought that, I saw in the corner of my eye Tara getting closer with Seafarer's boat. There was clearly something wrong. I could see Tara bent over, and there were two birds, I guess they were flick-fin gulkins with her. They did not look great either. They looked beat up too. I saw Elindra getting up in the sand bed close to more bears, and I whispered her name. Elindra, please come help. Look, Tara, and those birds. She looked to the direction I signed, and she woke up Tim and Tom quickly. Boys, quick. We have a job to do. You take the birds, I take Tara. We all four ran down to the shore where Tico had already gotten to help Tara to the land and was tying the boat securely. Tico took one of the birds carefully and handed it to Elves and followed by the other. Tara raised her eyes and said to Tico, thank you, I'm not able to walk. The big pack of flick-fling gulkins attacked us, and I used my body to protect these two, so they got pretty bad to my body and legs. Their beaks are super strong. I helped Tara to the hands of Tico, who carried her to the fire pit area and lowered to a sunbed type of chair. Elindra was fussing all over and putting liniments everywhere. It looked funny since when she put the liniment, one could actually only see the shape of Tara. Liniment almost painted her up, so that shape of her came clear and visible. Elindra spoke to me, Sarah, go give Seafarer land sickness medicine and ask him to come help. We need his wizard skills. I went quickly over to his hammock, and he was already awake and sitting, but trying not to touch the land, and was looking anxiously toward the fire pit area. Good Sarah, I did not dare to put my feet to the land since the effects are so severe, and I'm no use. Thank you, Seafarer said, and took the medicine from my hand. Sure, I said. Come when you feel the effect of the medicine. I ran back to the fire pit. I felt torn whether to go help Elves or do the cooking, since they would need food as soon as they were given the medicines, and they were feeling better. I decided food is more important, and I looked at the fire and started laying fish, meat, and vegetables on the grill. I felt tapping on my shoulder. It was Jack. What can I do? What if you go there to see if you can help and I cook breakfast? I sighed. That would be awesome. Here. I handed him the tongs that I have been using to lift things to the fire. I looked at Tim and Tom, who were attending the 2 flickering gulkins, and they looked doing quite all right. Birds were already drinking and trying to shuffle their feathers in place. I approached Elindra, where also Seafarer was now standing by. Seafarer was mumbling something, clearly doing some spells or such to help Tara. Elindra was giving some liquid medicines to Tara's lips. Elindra noticed me approaching and said, Sarah, come here and feed Tara drops to her lips continuously until she sits up. I want to do something for her back, and you don't know how to do it, and I don't have time to explain. I nodded, and I took the bottle from her and kept dropping a small drop on Tara's lips every time she licked it away or it fell inside her mouth. I could hear Seafarer mumbling close by. I could actually feel a lot of like wind, cool and warm ones as I stood there. I guess that is how energy feels, what Seafarer was using to heal Tara. I could hear Elindra and Tico discussing something, and then Elandra spoke to me and Seafarer. Me and Tico are going to pour strong medicine directly on top of Tara's back, and that is very painful. So you need to take a break, Sarah, since we need to turn Tara around. Sarah, Tara's likely trying to scream, but since I put this between her teeth and try to make sure the screams are muffled as good as possible. Don't cover her nose so she can still breathe. Tico, did you get another Capritor to help? Good. She replied to her own question. Go on each side and try to pin her on the bed. Seafarer, keep Tara's feet still. This is painful, but takes only a couple seconds. Elindra climbed on top of Tara and waited until Capritor and Seafarer had locked Tara in her place. She started to pour from small dark green bottle something that smelled so rotten that it made me want to throw up. I closed my nose and held the wood piece in Tara's teeth and tried to keep her screams muffled. She was almost growling. She was clearly hurting so bad. This liquid was smoking when it touched Tara's back, and the smoke hid Elindra all over so that I could not see her anymore. Tico and the other Capritor were much larger, and I could still see their heads above the smoke. And then it was all over as fast as it started. Tara was moaning, but she did not try to fight us anymore. Elindra climbed down and Capritor and Seafarer let her go. Elindra signed me to take away the wood bees, and I did. I still poured medicine drops into her mouth, and Elindra reached for the bottle and continued to do that. I walked away from the bed and noticed all creatures were looking at us with worrying eyes. Tora was so worried that he could not stop stepping side by side with his hands stiff in his chest, almost like praying position. I turned and asked Elindra, since now the camp was all quiet and one could hear. Elindra, is she going to be all right? Elindra replied, yes, but she will be poorly for a couple of days. The beaks of flickering gulkins have a pocket of poison that they can use when they want. And it seems that the main pack, when they were attacking Tara, at least some of them have used the poison pocket too. 2 birds came closer and they seemed fairly okay now. They walked, or more like waddled, on the ground and hopped on the end of the Tara's daybed and spoke. Yes, she got bitten badly. She spread herself so that we were protected, and that is when her back got bitten. Bird continued. I am a feather dance, and this is sea rain. At this point, Jack said, breakfast is ready. I looked at Tora, and he was clearly not in a place to take the lead. So I said, hey, Let's go eat, and if you feather dance could tell us what happened while we eat. Elindra, if you keep company first for Tara, and then we'll relieve you. At this stage, Tora woke up. No, Elindra, you go eat. I cannot eat until I see her open her eyes and speak to me. We are totally different, me light and she darkness, but together we are one. I have to see her opening her eyes before I'm able to function. I can give medicine to her and sit by her. Elindra stood up and gave a new bottle to Tora and said, Here, this is a little different medicine. I don't think she's in pain anymore. This should revive her faster. Tora looked at Elindra gratefully and took the bottle and sat by her. Everyone else gathered around the fire pit. It was a little crowded. Seafarer was also a big man, and he picked up his favorite food, fish, and went to sit on his boat. I could tell he was so happy sitting in it and feeling the waves under him. More bears took huge plates for them and went back to the beach so that they still could hear what was spoken. It was lovely since they were big man bears, so they took a lot of space. So a little further away at the beach was very convenient. Me, Jack, Elves took one small corner by the fire pit, and the rest did the Capritors fill in. Two of the flip-fin gulkins were given another daybed type of a chair with the plate suitable for them, raw fish. It was very quiet for a while. Everyone was eating their breakfast. It was funny how here in Myria I felt so hungry on food times, but otherwise I never felt hungry. I happily ate my portion. It was so good, as always. And I had no idea where the fairy drink came from, but it was always refreshing. I collected one big plate for Tora and Tara, if she was able to eat anything, and two big jars of a fairy drink and took them to Tora. So he did not need to leave her side. Tora looked in at my eyes so gratefully. I asked, Has she opened her eyes yet? Tora replied, No, not yet. But I stared at her, and Tara was opening her eyes. When Tara's eyes were closed, it was very hard to tell where her eyes were because she was the darkness. But I could see her eyes stirring. Look! Tora turned to look Tara too. Yes, Tara was trying to stir her eyes open. Tora spoke softly. Tara, open your eyes, please. Tara was coming to it. Elindra rushed by her side and stopped Tora from putting the medicine into her mouth and saying, Wait. It felt so long, but Tara opened her darkest dark brown eyes that were almost black, wide open. She looked at us and smiled faintly and said, Hey all, what's the meeting about? Tora puffed. Tara, don't joke. We were so worried. You took a bad hit, and that flicking Kulking's poison is no joke. Tara looked at Tora's eyes. Yes, I know, but choking does no harm. It lightens the mood. She said softly and continued. See, you all did fix me. I'm in one piece. I feel like I got hit by a bus, though. Everywhere ached. Everyone was now trying to get a glimpse of Tara and hear what she was saying. It was getting crowded. Elindra spoke clearly and enough loudly so that all could hear what information was given to everyone. Tara, you seem to be feeling now okay. Just feel sore and hit by a bus, right? Can you scan your body and tell me if there is something that feels painful or somewhat off? Tara nodded and closed her eyes. She opened them after what felt forever and said, Actually, there is nothing to point out. I feel sore all over, but otherwise all right. Lindra raised her voice again and said to everyone, Tara will be all right. She will be a couple days poorly, but she is going to be okay. Tara, here, Drink fairy's nectar and this medicine bottle that will help you pass the poison symptoms that are partly the reason for your soreness that is in your body. Thank you, Seafarer. I could not have done such a good job alone to remove the poison and poison effects from her body. Everyone turned to Seafarer, who was sitting happily smiling in his boat. He nodded and pretended to bow while sitting and said, "Happy to oblige, milady." Everyone laughed. It was relieving laughter. Jack shouted from the fire pits and said, "How about you guys come here for coffee and tea? Here are some cinnamon buns too if you want. And let's hear the story from Flickfin Gulkins about what happened." I could now smell coffee and cinnamon buns and asked, "Where did you get cinnamon buns?" Jack said, "Well, this is the magic storage thingy, clearly. When I think of something I need and I look down to it, it appears here." Others laughed and some of them nodded. I guess it was clear as day for them that is how it worked. Everyone started to return their places, and I looked at the group of creatures around me and thought that one never knows how the day will go here in Myria. And it is not even a day. It was barely a morning. And a lot of things had happened. It feels like this day has many days in it. Today is the new day. Or is it tomorrow? Is tomorrow a new day? Or is today today? I don't know. Let's hear the story of Flickfingulki.